Welcome to Talking Lines with Content and MBY the Nerd. Now, this week, we're going to be covering directors, right?
Yeah,
And how's it going, MBY?
it's going good, man. It's a good week. Glad to start this new show, man. I like this more in depth on one specific subject, man. So this will be interesting.
Yes, man. Now, what is the duty, right? What is the job factor of a director?
Yeah. Well, the main thing a director is put in place for is to supervise the creation of a film or television project when we're talking about movies and television. So they're the creative force behind such film. They're bringing their vision to whatever script they're given. Sometimes a director will actually write a script and get behind the camera as well to direct their own script. But most of the time, they're given you know the task of bringing to life someone else's story. But usually they're visionaries. They have insight that a lot of people don't have when it comes to being precise with things, and they also know how to work with people. You have to know how to work with people, how to get the best performance out of people, and that is really the job of a director. It's a glamorous job when everything goes right because you're praised, but it like in other fields, it can also be a horrific job if everything goes wrong, and sometimes it's not all your fault, or sometimes it's not anything that you did that make the film be successful or not successful, but you have to be willing, as the face of the film, to basically take any kind of criticism that comes with it. So that's really the extent of a director's, from what I've learned and from personal experience, and what I've heard other directors talk about. That's really what they're all about.
Yeah, man. Now, this the thing, right? Because directors, they're behind the camera, so yeah, they usually don't get the whole accolades as the actors and the actresses do, right?
Right.
But you're right, they're visionaries. They they're good at telling the story that that needs to be told. So, one of my favorite directors, like growing up as a kid, like somebody who watched these movies and I was into these movies, it was Steven Spielberg for me.
Right.
Steven Spielberg was amazing to me, man. Like from Jaws to Raiders of the Lost Ark, which that was a movie that I grew up on. I
Yeah.
grew up on E.T.
Right.
I remember the Goonies.
Yeah.
I remember The Color Purple. Jurassic Park is one of my favorite films, and I remember going to the theater with my granddad back in '97, and we watched Amistad.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Steven Spielberg did Amistad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was an amazing piece of film, the story that he told on that. Very, very powerful, moving movie, and Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
That's one of my favorite all-time war films, So all of my favorites come from one director,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, man, that's why Steven Spielberg just like stands out to me, as a director because we think about what he did with Jaws, and we're talking about like back in the '70s,
Yeah.
and how believable he made that shark look,
Right.
and how he made the shark attacks look. People were scared to go to beaches back then. You remember that, man? You remember that feeling? Like even like growing up in the '80s,
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
he definitely.
I was scared.
Yeah, he villainized. Jaws definitely villainized sharks. Some people say that wasn't fair, but yeah, he used a character to create a horror film. So, um, but yeah, man, Jaws is one of those creative things he did. Actually, in the first Jaws, um, you don't really see much of the shark, so it's almost like a shark film with no shark. It's just the thrill and the anticipation of the shark is what really frightened people. So he was able to tap into that. But yeah, Steven Spielberg is definitely one of my favorite directors. I always look for him. Check out his films when I see his name on it, even if he produces something. I mean, I remember E.T. being one of my childhood favorite films. When I was growing up, and recently one of the movies that really gets overlooked that he did that I always talk about to people, I always bring this up, is War Horse. It's an incredible
That's
movie.
right.
This guy was able to make a movie that was about a horse, and it was good.
Seemed
Like,
interesting.
yeah, he made it interesting, and he made you, actually care about the horse, the character. So, like, I was like, wow. So yeah, War Horse, um, great movie, and him and George Lucas, they worked very closely, together, especially like on the Indiana Jones stuff. So yeah, man, Steven Spielberg's an awesome director.
So let's get into it, man. So who is some of your top favorite directors, man? Who are some of the people that inspire you to do what you do? Because you direct in music videos and you direct in other things as well.
Yeah.
So who inspired you to get behind that camera lens?
Like, tell you the truth, when I really first started understanding how movies were being made and how that worked, I really was looking for minorities, because I wanted to see someone that looked like me that that did this. And the first person I really came across was, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on vacation in Cleveland, Ohio, in the '90s, and my mom and everybody was talking about this movie. Kind of like everybody's talking about when they see us. It was that type of movie. Like, everybody was like, "Oh, you got to go see this movie. It's so impactful." And that movie turned out to be Boys in the Hood. And obviously, we know that
John Singleton.
directed by John Singleton, and that was like the first, you know, 90s relevant, socially connecting to young African Americans, film that I saw, and it was done beautifully. I mean, just the way it was put together was amazing to me. And I think it was really my first time going out of, the children's genre to really watch something that was primarily made for adults. So, but it resonated with me, and so John Singleton instantly became somebody I really looked up to. And when I, got older in high school and really decided that I wanted to pursue doing, video and film and things like that, like, I definitely followed his movie career and his directing style, and just, really focused in on John Singleton as kind of that guy that I really paid attention to and followed, among others. I mean, you had, like, he was one of my favorites. Obviously, the Hughes brothers. They came along. Just seeing them do their films. Spike Lee. It's funny because I actually had to backtrack with Spike Lee because, I saw some of his. I saw Malcolm X, and then I realized how good that was, and it made me go back and look at his older films and, like, oh, this is what he's done. So, and to this day, he really does amazing movies. So he has a film on Netflix right now about a girl who goes and, builds a time machine to try to stop her brother from getting murdered by the police. A lot of people don't even know about that because when they see us is kind of taking over everybody's narrative. But that movie is on Netflix and it's by Spike Lee, and it's great. It's a great film. So Spike Lee is definitely another director that I look. But once I started broadening my horizons and really started looking at the art of filmmaking, I started noticing just the nuances, the nuances in the artistic storytelling. And one of the main guys that really got me into that was Ron Howard. You know, Ron Howard, if you don't know him, he actually was an actor first. He was on Happy Days back in the day, which was an old sitcom. but then he jumped into directing as he got older, and he produced some classic films like A Beautiful Mind, Apollo 13. The first movie I saw directed by him was a movie called Backdraft, and I swear I probably
I
watched.
remember that, man.
I
That was great.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. I probably watched that movie, 50 times as a kid until my VHS tape popped. You know what I'm saying? Like I just kept playing that movie. I love that movie. So Ron Howard really like embodied the artistic nature of filmmaking. He did movies like Cinderella Man. That was a good one. Da Vinci Code. I really enjoyed that. Movie Rush. He did, and recently he directed the solo Star Wars movie. So, which I actually enjoyed. A lot of Star Wars fans didn't, but I'm not a Star Wars fan. I just like movies. And so when I saw
Yep.
it, I saw the movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't even know Ron directed it, but after I found out he directed it, I realized why I enjoyed it because it had a lot of the elements that he puts in his prior films. So Ron Howard is definitely one of my favorite directors that brought me into the art of it. Um, and
Wow.
then you have the gratuitous, violent, just over the top action. When I started getting into that, because that's become my favorite genre, I just love action films. And one of the main guys that really introduced that to me was Robert Rodriguez. I mean, Robert
You do.
Rodriguez with El Mariachi and Desperado, really, like, he became instantly, I loved his directing style. And, yeah, it's a little bloody, yeah, it's a little violent. Him and Quentin Tarantino work closely together. But the man, he can shoot a film, man. He can shoot a movie. And the fact that he's independent. This guy has his own facilities in Texas. He edits his own movies. He really became like an inspiration, how he does everything. He has his own TV station. He has his own deal with distributors. So when he makes a movie, he puts it out himself. And then he also does kids movies, like because I always like that. Why can't
My
I do?
kids.
Yeah, he does kids movies. He's done Spy Kids. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got other movies that are coming out, and so he understands that genre as well. So Robert Rodriguez, man, he's just a cool guy, man. He's like really down to earth director, man. He just shows you everything on YouTube. He has a channel you can follow, and he shows you how to do everything that he does, man. Like I was watching a behind the scenes of Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and he was showing how he shot the scene with Johnny Depp, a big gun scene without any bullets. Like there was no, like they were using fake guns, but he's like, yeah, we're gonna use these fake guns, but watch how I put all these digital effects in. And man, it looks just like a real shootout. So yeah, Robert
Wow,
Rodriguez,
man.
he definitely is definitely one of my favorites. And then lastly, but not only, I have tons of directors I like, but this guy really put me on to the big budget stuff. Like, you know, to me, he like is the quintessential builder of the blockbuster as we know it today. Like, if it weren't for this director, we wouldn't have these 100, $200 million movies that we get every summer. So people have to give him respect for that, and I think people like disrespect him because he's not really the most artistic. He's going for the quantity over the quality sometimes. But you gotta admit that he's made some classic films, and who I'm talking about is Mr. Michael Bay. Mr.
Yes.
Take a low budget movie like Bad Boys and turn it into multi-$100 million making franchise. So yeah, man. And you've seen his yeah,
Amazing.
everybody knows his
Drop
movies.
some drop some more, man. What else has he's done? Transformers
Bad
for people that
Boys,
don't
Bad Boys
know.
2, Transformers 2. He's done all of those. He did The Rock. You know what I'm saying? He's done the Rock action film. Like all of
Yeah.
these big budget movies, man, that he's been a part of. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot that was a few years ago.
One of my
He's
favorites
Yeah,
was The Island.
The Island. The Island was a great movie. I love that movie. So yeah, Michael Bay, man, he's like Mr. Blockbuster. That guy is like incredible to me, and so I
Yeah, you're
really,
right about that, man. Another one of my favorites too, that I grew up on was James Cameron,
yeah,
and
of course,
the
James
only reason
Cameron.
I knew what stood out to me about him was the first movie where I started really taking notice on who directed movies was Terminator 2.
Ah,
And
yes, yeah,
yeah, man, when I saw Terminator 2, I saw that I think Terminator 2 came out in 91,
yeah,
something like that, 91, 92. So when I saw that movie for the first time, I was just so amazed and still to this day trying to figure out how this guy pulled off some of those visuals,
yeah.
especially towards the end, or especially when Arnold, like, you remember when he cut his arm and then he took
Took the thing
he took the
off.
skin off of it
Yeah,
so he can show them that he was a robot,
right.
and he was just moving his arm and stuff and moving his hands. Yo, like, I'm like, how did he do that? Like, visually stunning,
Yeah,
So,
yeah, especially the
yeah,
time period.
man.
I mean, you're talking about 91, 92, 93, one of that, in that era, we didn't have the capability. So a lot of that stuff had to be done through traditional green screen and actual building animatronics. So, man, they pulled off an amazing feat. It's still one of my favorite films, if not my favorite. Terminator 2, man. So yeah, James Cameron is definitely
Terminator 2, man.
he's definitely on my
He
list.
did.
Like I said,
He did Aliens,
yeah, he did Aliens. Yeah, so he's like
True Lies.
True Lies.
Um, and everybody knows this one. Everybody knows the Avatar.
Oh yeah,
He did
Avatar.
Avatar.
Everybody's waiting for the sequels too. So yeah, Avatar. James Cameron, man, he's a great director. So yeah, he's on my
Yeah,
list.
Titanic.
So as far as the
Yeah.
newcomers to the industry, who's topping your list right now? Who are you checking for right now?
Oh man, as far as like newcomers, I gotta give it to the Russo brothers.
Yeah,
The Russo brothers are, man, what they just did with Marvel
right.
is amazing to me. I'm talking about Civil War, and I'm talking about Infinity War,
Yeah.
and just even like, in, yeah, down to this last one. What was the last one? The title,
Endgame.
the End Game.
Yeah, Endgame.
These guys are, man, like, these guys are amazing, man. I mean, I can't wait to see what they do outside of Marvel. As far as future wise.
Yeah.
It's like whatever they touch, man, it's amazing.
Yeah, they did a great job. Me, I'm loving what Ava is doing. Ava,
Yes, Ava DuVernay.
yeah, Ava
Yes,
DuVernay.
she is awesome.
She has. I mean, everybody's talking about When They See Us, but she did.
She did A Wrinkle in Time.
A Wrinkle in Time. She did Selma. She has her own show with Queen Sugar. She's just doing some fantastic work. You know what I'm saying? So she's doing awesome job. I actually really like Ryan Coogler.
Yes,
I always say
Cougar.
his name.
Yes,
Coogler. Yeah,
the
Ryan Coogler.
director. Yes,
I
the
love Ryan.
director of Black Panther,
Black Panther, but he also did that's probably what he's
Creed
most
2,
famous, but
or Creed.
yeah, he wrote and directed Creed, and he co-wrote Creed 2. He also did Fruitvale Station, which was a big film festival winning movie that starred Michael B. Jordan, about the situation that happened in California with the kid getting shot in the back. So, he's really impressed me what he's been able to do, and I think he's only been a professional director for less than 10 years. So, what he's been able to do is been amazing to me. So I really enjoy um, what he's putting down. So it's some great young directors out there that are doing good. as far
They
as
are,
what they're
man.
doing. So yeah.
Me and my wife like horror films. So, I'm looking to see who's the next. It looks like James Wan is going to be the next big horror director because if you don't know who James Wan is, he directed a few of the Saw movies
Yeah.
and he also directed The Conjuring, and pretty much he's had a hand in everything following The Conjuring,
Yeah.
whether it be
Yeah,
The
his
Nun
his name
and
his
all those movies.
yeah, his name pops up all the time, man, with those horror films. He is like a mainstay in that. So yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, man, he's taking on that role that George Romero from he did all the Night of the Living, the Night of the Living Dead stuff,
right, right,
Um,
right.
he did all the zombie movies, uh, and then Stephen King and Wes Craven. He's he's taken he's taken that in the horror genre and he's pushing that forward, with these movies that he's coming out with now.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's amazing. Now music videos, right? We were big on watching music videos back in the day, like
Oh
in the
yeah.
'90s
Yeah.
and even in the early 2000s, man. Um, some of the some is or at least in hip hop, right? At least in hip hop, some of our well-known music video directors was I don't know if you remember Little X.
Yeah. Yeah. Little X, he actually did a movie last year. He was did the reboot of Superfly. So he directed a movie last year. So yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Dave
definitely
Myers.
yeah, Dave Myers. Forgot about Dave Myers.
Dave
Yeah.
Myers.
Yeah, he was big.
Chris Robinson was my favorite,
Chris
man.
Robinson, he was
You
the
know,
first one I thought of between him and Hype Williams. Those were the first two
yes.
when you start talking about
Hype
music
Williams was
videos.
always the one that everybody went to for the big budget video,
Yeah,
right? Like if anybody wanted to do a big budget like Busta Rhymes and just Janet Jackson
right.
or do anything that Bad Boy was doing back in the day with More Money, More Problems. They went to Hype Williams for the big budget stuff. But like Chris Robinson was more of a storyteller. His
Yeah,
music videos always told a story.
right.
And that's what I love about music videos. Like you give me a music video that not only fit the theme of what the song is, but has a whole story to it and plays a storyline out. Yo, like this guy, that's why he was my favorite. He was my favorite back then. And Chris Robinson even directed ATL, the movie.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
ATL was his film.
Yeah, he got into directing a movie as well. So yeah, man, you can do it. You can cross over. I mean, and do those things. Mr. Boom House, he did most of the Houston stuff. They call him Mr. Teeth, I guess, as well, Dr. Teeth. But he did a lot of their stuff. And so, as far as the new generation, I mean, the biggest name that I've heard is this guy that does Lyrical Lemonade. Like he directs all of the the big videos for these younger artists, man. So he's out there doing his thing on Lyrical Lemonade. So it's still a thing out there, man. People are still making these music videos and directing and stuff like that. So it's something that I definitely got into and still definitely want to do more of. But it's definitely tedious. The behind the scenes of directing a music video versus a movie, it's a little harder because you have a smaller budget, of course, and then you have a shorter period of time to try to put together this 3 to 4 minute short film for music videos. So the easy ones are the ones where they're just performing. That's it. Those are easy music videos. But the ones you're talking about with Chris Robinson, where they have to tell a story or what have you, it could be tedious at times trying to get all the locations together and do it. So I have a much respect for those people who get out there and shoot music videos.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So yeah, man, that'll pretty much end our discussion today on directors. We just wanted to let y'all know pretty much and just have a discussion on how important a director's job is, and for them to take that big job and be successful with it, and give us memorable, memorable films, memorable TV shows, memorable music videos. It's a talent. It's a really true talent, and yeah, man, just be inspired to be the best. Any future directors out there, with the equipment that they have now, y'all should. They're more affordable to buy. One, and then all you need to do is really just have a vision. And if you have a vision that's good enough, put it into use and do it. Get out there and direct. And who knows, man, 10 years from now, this person that's listening to this show right now could be, amongst that list that we was just discussing.
Yeah, man. Every time I look up, I've seen new names on the marquee for directors. So it is a passing of the guard going on right now. So the door's wide open. The next Spielberg is coming. The next Michael Bay is coming.
The next John Singleton.
Next John Singleton is coming. So we're excited to see that, man. So and we don't ever want to forget how important the job is. So we definitely there are way more directors that I could have named that I really enjoy their movies. So if you think of any, listen to this, just leave them down in the comments. Let us know what you think. And who are your favorite directors and what kind of films they've done, or favorite directors of music videos in the past or today's artists, and let us know, man. Because definitely we like to hear those behind the scenes names, because a lot of times they don't get a lot of shine. But these directors definitely, they help us, indirectly sometimes with our lives. Just seeing a movie or a music video may change your perspective or your thought process or the way you see things, in your regular life, just because the way a director was able to bring a vision together. So let us know, man. But yeah,
Absolutely right.
that was a great topic.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. So join us next week where we'll cover something else. And thank you for listening to Talking Lines with me and MBY the Nerd. Y'all take it easy, and we will talk to y'all next episode. Peace.
Peace.